Morning, afternoon, evening, as the case may be in your part of the world. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Zen Archer, and a friend of mine did a video talking about social media, and as I take it, some of his friends at the nightclub, bar, local grill, I don't know if they were complaining, but at least saying, that he spends an awful lot of time online, and he wanted to know, what is your take on social media? Obviously, I can't talk to what anybody else, um, what their experience is, only my own. But I've been online since the internet opened up. In fact, I was on the internet, working at a library when Mosaic became available, which was the beginning of all of these browsers that we have, Firefox and all that kind of stuff, Mozilla. Anyway, I divorced right around that time, and I already was running bulletin board systems and things like that. We eventually moved the whole thing over to the internet, and my first real life relationship that I was involved with after my divorce was thanks to online interaction. I had a friend that I met in chat quite often. I was divorced, and we became very close. One thing led to another, and I put my stuff in the car, and I moved to where she was at, moved in with her, and spent a year there. And it was a fiery relationship. It was, your transition relationship. So it was very fiery. It was also a lot of culture shock because it was a different environment. But it all started with interaction online and getting to know one another online. The difference in that and relationships after that is that with that relationship, I only knew her through our online interaction. So it didn't work out. I came back to Ohio, and I was in Ohio for a short period of time, and met the second relationship after my divorce, and started out the same way. Actually started out in an IRC chat, and from that IRC chat, then it became video chat, and from video chat, it became her driving to see me on a weekend, and then another weekend, and pretty soon every weekend, and eventually just saying, why don't we move in together? And that's what we did. I packed my stuff and I went to Iowa. We spent some time in Iowa. Didn't spend a lot of time online once we were together. We didn't spend a lot of time online, but we did spend some. We still kept up with our friends, and I've never really made the distinction between online friends and real life friends. There are some who will say, well, you don't have the responsibilities with online friends, and they're just online friends. You can just turn them off when you're done with them, and that kind of thing. And I have not had that experience. For me, the people that I meet, you guys, are the same people that I meet every day in my life. I've got a group of kayakers that I go with, and I see them, pretty regularly. Every couple of weeks, every month, we go out and share a time together, and it's kind of funny because I spend more time online hanging with friends. Since my accident, I've been on Facebook, and when I'm there, people chat me, "Hey Zen, how you doing? How's the foot feeling?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And last night I was talking to two people in Facebook text chat for an hour or better, and then when I got bored there, I went over to TalkBox and hung out with my friends, the same as you would go down to a pub or anything else, and just as real. The difference is that when I have a couple of beers with my friends, I don't have to worry about getting a ticket driving home under the influence because I'm already home. And the funny thing is that I have a couple of drinks with my friends. I'm the social drinker. So when I go out kayaking, I have a few beer with them. And when I'm online, I have a few beer with them. And other than that, I don't drink. So it's there's no distinction for me. Now there is a downside, and the downside is that online interaction can be much more exciting. On a daily basis, it's more exciting. You can find things that are exciting, or that maybe exciting is not the word, but involved. You know, you can find the things that you're passionate about and argue them and stuff, and you can argue in a way online that you certainly can't in real life. In real life, you might get your lights punched out, but there too, you're expressing a view, and you're hearing views of not just people who are in your local neighborhood or your city, but all over the world. And I really think that social media has made a huge contribution to a more understanding relationship that people have. What I mean by that is, when you talk to people from all over the world, and value systems and financial systems and all of that are different than what yours are, you get a much broader sense of the world, and that can change your opinions when you start, thinking about how other people feel, what they're going through, all of that. And I think that that's an effect, has an effect on the collective conscious, if you will. And so I think it's a positive thing. The downside is, though, it is exciting, and it's so much easier to just sit at your desk and sit back and talk and, just say whatever you want to say. Nobody's going to punch you in the face, at least not while you're home. So you can just say whatever you want to say in any way you want to say it. And the worst that's going to happen is, you're going to get banned from a site, or somebody's going to unload on you verbally because they disagree with your opinion, or you're just being a jerk, or whatever the case is. But I don't have the distinction. The danger is if this is your only interaction, then there's a problem. But if you work a 9 to 5, you've got guys that you work with, and you see the lady at the grocery store, and your bank teller, and if you go out to the pub and have a couple of drinks, you got friends there. So as long as you keep that real world interaction going, then social media can be very broad. When I divorced, my son and I, we put Quake on our computers, and we played Quake. I was in a different state, but I could still play with my son, who was in Ohio. And we didn't do it as often as I would have liked to, but that was a positive thing. And I see that today. My roommate's daughter gets online and plays an online game with her father, who's in another, he's not in another state, but he's in another city that's a good distance away. And so they still have that interaction while they're apart. I mean, after all, this is a fancier telephone. That's what it is. It's a fancy telephone that lets you see pictures that move. But at the end of the day, that's what this is. It's a fancy telephone. In addition to that, of course, it's a great tool to find out about whatever you want to find out about. And, I remember the days of high school and college and sitting in libraries and searching through books. And, it was tedious and took up all your time. And today I can find things out in a couple of minutes. I just looked up a new bill about copyright infringement, that someone could possibly get up to 5 years in prison for using copyrighted materials. And people got all upset about it because that's all the information they had. And I went to Google and found it, and found out that wasn't, although that's true, it's not all of the story. And I wouldn't have done that. If I'd had to go to the library to find out, I wouldn't have taken the time. So it's just the world today. My son text messages me and says Happy Father's Day or Happy Birthday. And when I grew up, you didn't get broke up with by mail. You didn't, it wasn't personal if you got it by mail. But today, texting is as good as a telephone call, and it's less time, and part of that is the faster speed that we do things at, and our shorter attention spans and sometimes. So social media has been a positive thing for me. When I was taking care of Mom for about 13 years, I took care of Mom. And during that time, I would have gone stark raving mad if I hadn't have had interaction with people online and being able to socialize with other human beings through this medium. By the same token, 12 years ago, or about the same time, about 13, I met Tara916, who became my very best friend. Some would say soulmate. And it just worked, 90% of our interaction was online. We'd get together for a lunch or something like that, or a dinner, maybe spend a day together. But overall, most of our interaction was online. On a nightly basis, we'd spend hours and hours chatting and talking and smiling and laughing. And she was, hour and a half or so away from me. But it worked because of social media. So I don't make the distinction between people here and outside people. The only difference between you, my friends here, and the people that I know outside is that when discussions get heated, there's always a possibility of somebody getting physical in the real world, and there's less of a possibility of that happening online. And then there's, of course, the other thing, touch, feel, hugs, kisses, all that stuff that you just can't do online. But my social media, and it allows me the opportunity to have an effect on a much broader range, to give my opinions and philosophies and hope that they'll help others, learn from it as well from others, and make friends everywhere. I think it's a wonderful thing. But as with everything else, it has to be balanced. That's where you run into a problem, is when it's not balanced, when social interaction is all there is. And for many people, shut-ins, people who are handicapped that can't get out, it probably saves a lot of them from going mad. So this is the world today as we know it. Social media. It's how we communicate. And the number of people that we can touch today is so much broader than it was, back in the late 90s, when this just wasn't there. You talk to your friends at work, people in your town or your city, and that was pretty much the only people you touched. Today, I can turn on my computer, bring up my camera, put up a video, and talk to people literally all over the world. And I think it's a positive thing. But everything in balance. So that's my opinions about social media. Love to hear some of yours. Till next time, as always, you be well. This is Zen.